Magnus now going back towards the Void Grubs, trying to pick it up, but on the bottom.
He's getting run down here. Flash in. Excellent setup now coming in from Carzzy. Trade back from Supa. Big damage. Hail of Blades. Pretty impossible for Carzzy to do anything. He burned his flash, but BTO now going in. Mirwin again being bullied. This is comeuppance. Vitality. And these extended plays. Another action swing. Photon will not be stopped. Down there. Mirwin now looking to knock back here. Desperate to get a 1v1 back. Carzzy now in trouble. Sky just dives to the backline. Mad Lions Hwei have done it. In their first split with 4 rookies, they will secure top 4.
Welcome back to the LEC. Supa, thank you for joining me. Congratulations on a very swift 2-0 win. How does that feel for you?
I think we are pretty happy because I think into Fnatic we saw a phase that is not that, but I think was a really good lose because I think wake up, at least in me and in my teammates, I think as well, but in myself, another way to see how I want to be, the player I want to be, how much I improved in this week. So I'm pretty happy that it shows this week.
It absolutely did. Supa, you are 2 best-of-5 series away to making your first finals in your first year of the LEC. Does that feel surreal in terms of what goals you set for yourself and, of course, the team at the very beginning of the split?
I think it does. I'm not gonna lie. It's not. We expected to be in the top 4 in regular season. I'm not gonna lie. I expect we will go through lower bracket because it's the way our team works, no? So I think I'm pretty happy, but still 3 more best of 5. No, I'm not happy that this 2. I will be happy when we win finals.
Hey, you know what they say, more practice through the lower bracket, the easier it will be when you make finals. Now, who do you think played the best among your entire team for this series?
I think this series is kind of like a coin flip because I think Xayah first played a really good first game, Mirgun as well, but then second game I think they played worse. I played worse the first game, and then I played better this game. So
flip the coin. Who is it?
Yes, flip a coin. No, I think I will be either Alvaro or me.
Oh, well. Well, Fresh was on that side of the coin this time. I'm really sorry. So Fresh is going to be your Kia player of the series. Fantastic performance from him. His Xayah was incredible. Now I want to ask you, of course, behind us we do have Fnatic and SK Gaming, and they're going to be your next opponent, whoever wins this series. Who do you think is going to be and why?
I think I will say Fnatic is the favorite, no? I think from what they saw in players, I think they are playing better as a team. They are more a group, let's say, as 5. So I think they have like the advantage from that.
All right, thank you very much, Supa. Congratulations again. We will see you next week for your best of 5. And Laure, over to you on the desk.
Thank you so much, Trouble. Fnatic versus SK is next up, and we wanted to get into the mind of Swiffer, who had a bad time, I think, last week watching his team play. So let's get a reminder of his series versus Team Heretics on Saturday, because he gave us a really memorable, authentic coaching moment during that series.
Well, that headset was obviously too loud.
What do you think he's saying here? Because we're all wondering what goes through a coach's head when something like this happens, guy.
It looks like to me he's got sound issues. You know, he took off the headset, he's putting it back on, still figuring out what the right tone is. I mean, that's he just can't find it. Really,
I should not have had that chicken, man.
Yeah. He forgot it in the oven back at the facility.
Yeah, right?
It's burning, and now he's really sad because, you know, he's not going to be able to give it to the players after the series win.
Happy times in the end. No. I left the window open and it's raining now. Sad. I actually think that if I were a coach, this is usually what happens. I default it to my native language.
No, I see this
Cursing
as well.
players and their entire families and generations, sadly. But yeah, a roller coaster on the side of Swiffer, who I hope is going to have a most softer road today, watching his team play. That was a mess on the side of SK last week.
Yeah, you often tell us, how would you describe last week's game, or how would you describe the game that happened? I feel like we don't need to do anything. You just put that up there,
just show
the video.
Just
Here's the good moments, here the bad moments, and you can see the frustration.
Yeah, couple words on what made the series messy on the side of SK. Heretics did not make it easy for them either, but critical mistakes that we do not want to see today, because as Supa said, I think Fnatic has the edge today.
Yeah, I agree, and I actually think that SK made it more messy than Heretics made it hard for them, actually, especially in the late game, because there were so many times where we saw they're in a position where they're sitting up for a siege on a turret, but their ultimates aren't necessarily coordinated for that siege, so they're not fully set out for a fight if it breaks out. They start multiple times to try and get it down, and they don't find it in one footing. It just extends the game a lot of times, and you often see that they want to go mid, they want to go bot, and they just don't find the right setup for the wave states as well.
Yeah, coordination not quite on the same page. I'll also credit Heretics a little bit on how they held out. I think it was in the final game where they really did make a mountain out of a molehill for pretty much just, I feel like it was the experience showing there from Team Heretics, despite being that far back. But yeah, to me, a lot of the onus was still on SK. When you have that big of a lead, you should be closing out. There's not really too much an excuse.
You need to get discipline today. Looking ahead at the matchup against Fnatic, especially, who, I mean, they've performed really, really well against G2 last week when you think of the way they played. And once again, Razork shining in game, but innovating as well with Jax last week.
No, I think he just found a good, I mean, not necessarily found. We all know that Jax is a great counter into the Sin, but he just showed why it's such a high-regarded counter matchup and brought it out here in a game where he completely took over. We've seen Razork with carry performances in the past, but it's the fact that he is ever evolving as a player, where he can still be the Poppy, Rell, Maokai, whatever it needs to be, but also the Ons and Sao and Jax that still takes over the games and can carry through the jungle position.
Yeah, we're not really seeing so much innovation in the jungle role, so it's actually quite a unique situation that Fnatic have where they've got this in their back pocket through the Jax, and shutting down, I feel like, someone like Isma in a 1v1 where maybe Jax is a good matchup, even if it isn't specifically the Xin Zhao, is going to pay off pretty heavy dividends, because when we've spoken about SK, that's been their strength, and if Razork are able to Razork and Fnatic are able to leverage something like this Jax, it's really going to be a huge benefit to them.
And another point of tension for me, for Fnatic, we've been heavily critical of them, but the bot lane as a whole finally is awake and performing to the level we expected from them. Noah has been amazing last week.
If we take away the Senna Nautilus at first and then focus on the games that get after that, then it looks a lot better. So when Noah's the AD carry and Jun's the actual bot lane or support, then it's been looking really fantastic. I think they keep stepping up, and they definitely become a pressure point for Fnatic as well that they can actually play through. I think the consistency was really the main concern of this, because we knew the highs that they could have, but sadly we also saw the lows. But coming into playoffs, it feels like they're just hitting a more consistent level.
Yeah, it's just nice to finally see them actually step up to what we kind of expected with our pre-season expectations when it was like Champions Queue, and that was a majority of the data that we had.
They were smashing it back then.
They were smashing it. Every single bot lane was getting absolutely demolished. There was even situations where they were just refusing lobbies if they couldn't do it together. That is how much synergy they had built up. So to finally see that picture of you know, domination finally come through is fantastic, and I'm hoping for them they get to do it into an SK here today.
And before we get into the Rift, let's get to know Jun a bit better, because we have a newcomer interview from him.
My name is Sejun Yoon, age 24, from South Korea. 초등학교 6학년 때부터 롤 시작했고 대학교 1학년 때부터는 프로 시작해서 DRX 팀쳐 들어갔어요. 라인전은 세게 하는 거 좋아하는 것 같아요.
Any play that you remember you did in pro play?
CL 리신 게임 했을 때 플레잉 리신.
Lisin support?
Yeah.
Okay.
세나 리신.
Who are your favorite champions?
Rell and Ash.
Is there any team or any player in LEC you really want to play against?
Mickey X. So good player.
What do you like to do in your free time?
I'm watching YouTube. Yeah.
We can all relate with Jun.
I also love watching
I love watching YouTube too. I'm Medicus Vedius, in fact, to say his legal name. Andrews Vedius Deus III. So full name. We're here for SK versus Fnatic. And what a day it has been so far. We've already seen MDK make it through to the next round. Winner of this faces up against them. Winner of that then faces BDS. Winner of that then...
Next Friday.
Friday.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday is our week.
Get your tickets here for Friday.
Yep. So it will be the
Buy the whole seat, but you will only need the edge of it.
That's true. We're in for a barnstormer of a weekend.
A barnstormer. It's a wild ride here in Berlin, Germany. Look at them, they're so hyped.
Well, Medic's got a lot of energy today.
Jet lag has finally left me.
I'm hoping that the players will bring it on the Rift. Obviously, the Fnatic faithful are strong today. Yeah. But they can't afford to underestimate SK. We know that the coaches had some serious words in the day break that they've had since Saturday.
Yeah, if Supa was 10% as animated as he was on that replay as he was with his team.
That's why I don't think I can make it as a coach. And like, guys, right now, we suck. We're not going to suck today, okay?
I mean, sometimes that's what the coach needs. Sometimes you need to be that climbing up a mountain sort of guy. Sometimes you need to be the one getting a belt out and be like, hey guys, here's a cool belt. if you win, I'll give you the belt. You know?
Obviously, it's a gift.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I'm saying. It's a gift. Yeah, if you win the game, here's a belt that I bought for you guys to share.
Exactly, that's what you mean.
Yeah.
We are going to be jumping into draft. SK on the blue sides, Fnatic on the reds. Let's see what we have in store for us today.
We're going to see.
We're going to see.
And it will be in
the
store.
Suspension is...
The suspension is killing you. You're like a bridge. Fully suspended. Brand and Varus banned away by SK. Jax and Maokai removed by Fnatic. No surprises.
Oh, the
thus
Jax ban
far.
from Fnatic. I mean, so when we think back to their game versus G2 last week, Fnatic found in the game that they won, it was off the back of Razork's Jax.
Also, when SK beat Fnatic in week 1 of the regular season, if you can put your mind all the way 4 weeks ago, it was irrelevant on the Jax.
I mean, it is irrelevant
that
Jax that
exactly.
is often considered something you can't allow him to have. Something that, last year, I was going to say yesteryear.
You can say yesteryear if you want, we can go full old timing.
Yesteryear, irrelevant. Tales are written of his Jax.
Tapestries sewn.
But we are going to see the Senna response to the Rell. We imagine that this Rell is going to go into the jungle, but of course you can flex it into that support position. I love that we're seeing way more Senna. I think that as a champion, she is very strong. I think that she is very difficult to punish in the laning phase. But Exakick and DOS, they're going to try. Xayah and Rakan in the bot lane, a very powerful 2v2 bot lane, but naturally the response will be the Nautilus to come out from the side of Fnatic. Now I wonder what their priority will be. Do they want to try and give Oscar the can, or do they want to put him on something safe like the Cassante? We know that Irrelevant does have some potential answers. We've been seeing both the Gnar and the Zac from him. We even got to see Isakali come out in the top lane. So blind picking the Zac Cassante may be something dangerous, but it's going to be very indicative in these bans. Are they going to look to try and remove some of these top lane matchups? It looks like mid, this could consider, or suggest rather, that Humanoid is looking for an early Azir rotation. Maybe he wants to go for something a little more aggressive though. LeBlanc paired up alongside the Vi is something that we can often see. Very strong mid-jungle duo.
Gives you a really strong 2v2. The LeBlanc and the Vi, the lockdown is so powerful for you. But having Azir R4, it's Humanoid's most played across the course of the split alongside the Corki. Has only won 1 game on it, but still something that a lot of our mid laners are very comfortable on. Perhaps Humanoid will deliver us an Oscar-worthy performance. Absolute cinema. You've not been following.
I'm sure you can work that
cinema
into a cast. I'm sure you'll find a way.
Is he Timothy Chalamet or is he Magic Blaster? Orianna banned away by SK. Is often seen into the Azir
that
as well.
Is an Azir. That is an Azir.
They've set up for the Azir, but SK are going to ban Azir here.
Unless they have a good answer to it. Let's see.
I mean, Nisqy has played a lot of different champs. He's only played Azir more than once. 4 games on that, but then Akali, Nico already banned away.
I was going to say, if they did ban the Azir, he may just do Hwei. Senna Hwei is something that we've seen a lot from G2. I think we also saw it. We saw it recently. I forget who played it, but we saw it somewhere else as well. Oh, it is the Hwei. Okay. So they decided to forego the Azir and instead lock this champion in. Nisqy has played it himself, but I think Senna Hwei, so much range at your disposal, and now it does give Oscarinin the opportunity to counter pick.
Hwei also very good when you have that lockdown for you. When you have slows or CC, you can then hit people with the Searing Bolt for free, pretty much, because they're already locked down. Gives you that long-range damage. There's a Cassante, probably going to Irrelevant in the top lane. Can, of course, be flex mid, but it falls a little bit away from Nisqy's usual champion pool. I expect to see Nisqy look towards, well, you need some AP, really, if you're going to round out this composition. So a mage in the mid lane would make the most sense.
What are they going to do, though? Will they just pick the Azir themselves? We saw Caps put on a clinic in that matchup. Hwei can be hyper-aggressive if he wants to be in the early levels, but he's going to do it. Nisqy no stranger to the champion, of course. The main reason why I like Fnatic's carries more is just because Hwei and Senna, I think, complement each other in terms of how they utilize their range. They can just kind of support each other, sit in the back line, very much rely on their front line, whereas I think Xayah with her short range ideally wants champions to come onto you. It does make Vi's life a little bit harder. Also, Nautilus, if the ultimate is thrown out, can easily force out the ultimate from the Xayah. But when you have a champion like Hwei and Senna in the late game fights, they're never going to get in range for that Xayah to hit. Xayah is going to be very reliant on Isma to land that great engage, from DOS being able to find these good flanks, from Irrelevant being able to use his ultimate to break this Fnatic front to back up and create a little bit more chaos. So I think Fnatic's composition is a little easier to execute in that traditional front-to-back sense. Yep. But we've seen SK get hyper-aggressive. We've seen Isma make these crazy plays. We've seen Irrelevant be a standout star in the top lane when given the opportunity. So I'm definitely not going to count them out as we head into game.
I think there is a risk as well for Fnatic if Irrelevant gets really big on this Cassante, that they can't really work their way through him that quickly. Senna and Hwei do have quite a bit of damage, but it's not as consistent DPS as something like a Jinx that can just rattle through, you know, those tank killers. So if Irrelevant gets into a strong position, he can just frontline, and you still have the range of an Azir, and you still have, as you say, the engage and flank potential of a Rell and a Rakan. I heard the Fnatic fans in quite loud voice as we make our way onto Summoner's Rift for the first game of this series. Just a quick reminder, winner of this plays up against MDK on Friday next week in a best of 5, and the winner of that will play BDS, and then the winner of that will face up against G2 in our finals on Sunday.
Yeah, a lot on the line for these teams. Winter Split is drawing to a close, but the pressure is on. Best of 3, SK versus Fnatic. We're going to be jumping onto the Rift. Let's see how much both these teams have evolved since their game on Saturday.
Evolution usually something that takes place over millennia, so if they've managed to evolve quickly, that would be very impressive.
Really?
Perhaps put in an agar medium, a good substrate for their evolutionary needs.
That sign had an A in Fnatic. It's not how they spell it.
I mean, there is an A in Fnatic, it's just after the N.
I hate you, Medic. You got me on the technically correct
But you
again.
could be a fanatic, in which case there would be 3 A's.
That's true. You'd be right there. Okay, now that I've been mocked successfully, let's look at this early game. So far, just a traditional line of scrimmage. No early wards are going to be invested just yet. We may see the late invade, which it seems Fnatic are prepared for. They have Jun hovering around the red buff, here to offer protection, deny that early vision on the Raptors, but he said, okay, looks like they're not going to do it, so we'll back away.
I mean, at most, SK would be looking for a ward invade here, really. You can see Exakick and DOS down towards that bottom lane already. There's a ward in the tri-bush that Fnatic placed earlier. Noah using that one to make sure that they weren't going to face check into Xayah Rakan, who can be very strong at level 1, especially if you go WE, you get the W for the Xayah, obviously, and then the E for the Rakan. You get the double shields. You have Guardian as well. You can just trade in with your auto attacks, getting empowered from that Xayah. For the moment, both junglers starting on the top side. Neither of them spotted on their route. Oh, actually,
Stand corrected.
as I live and breathe, there's a ward there. Vedius gone back to yesteryear. Oscarinin walked in and placed that ward, and so they will know. Fnatic at least will know
If
where
they'd listened to the
Isma
bards,
is.
they would have known. This is a common fable from the legend that is Oscarinin. He who lays the yonder ward.
Alas, we should stop this.
Now, this bot lane from SK should get the level 2 first. Let's see if they can turn it into anything.
And you can see Jun expecting it, places the ward there to spot if DOS did go for something aggressive.
Respect being given. Will we see any form of invade from Isma? Something that we see all the time in Europe is this push-in bot with jungle doing a clear into invades. They're going to keep this pressure up, offer that opportunity for a potential contest. Nice hook coming out from Jun. I think he wanted to try and hook him just as the minion wave died so they could get him underneath the tower, try and get that tower shot in. Doesn't quite work out the way that he wants it, but looks like Isma, he's going to play it safe for now. Both junglers just going to do their standard full clear from top through to bot, which means it looks like that it's going to be relatively safe, all things considered. Push in favor of SK on the bot side of the map, push in favor of Fnatic on the top side, but mid looking pretty neutral and even, as you'd very much expect between these two control mages.
Yeah, Humanoid does have relatively good wave clear with his QE, the Molten Fissure, if he wants to use it. But early doors, you are a bit cooldown gated. Obviously, only your disaster abilities, your Q abilities, able to really put damage down on the wave. You can use your fear abilities to put, I think they're called Despair. I might be incorrect, but to put a little bit of damage down as well. It's a bit trickier.
Studying Hwei names while you're in the Maldives?
No.
Oh. Fair enough.
And I don't feel bad about that, I'm going to be honest.
No, you shouldn't.
I can go and dive with Manta Rays, or I can study Hwei ability names.
Hysterics had like a book up. He was trying super hard to memorize them all, and he did a pretty good job. But Hwei does have a lot of abilities. 10, I think. Yeah, it's 3-3-3 and then plus the ultimate.
11 if you count the cancel ability, but I think that's not really an ability as
It's passive.
Right, if you proc up one of your brushes, so if you press Q, you can then press R to cancel, and I think that does have a name. But I don't know the name for it. Yeah.
Fair enough. Now we see Razork hovering around the bot side of the map.
Oh, it's gonna land. DOS jumps in, Jun flashes away. Exakick still has flash here, doesn't invest it as of yet. Exakick instead uses the heal to escape the last embrace. Dodged to the side there by Exakick, so SK's bot lane will escape to the relative safety of their tower. Exakick looking to base here. There will be a cannon wave pushing in, so he's going to lose quite a bit of XP if he does finish that off. Decides against it. We've got 3 summoners left. Have DOS and Exakick to try and survive. Jun tanks the tower. Exakick already down. First blood to Fnatic. Good knock up onto Jun though. Razork won't tank the tower afterwards. Now they can look for the re-engage. Noah and Razork. Do you want more here or do you just want the plate? Waiting for the Vault Breaker. There it lands. Noah tanked the tower perfectly. Fnatic get out with 2 kills.
They made that look seamless. The initial dive was a little bit scary. They had Jun tank it, but hang on, Oscarinin in the top lane, very low HP. He gets to level 5 though, so gets a bit of health back.
It should be okay. Looks like Irrelevant just wanted that demolish proc on the tower.
All right, a bit of a scary situation there. So what was super interesting though is the pathing that Razork took. He actually did red into Krugs into Raptors, and often Isma was waiting so long to steal these reclears of the Raptors. Only now does he actually get it. We look back at the dive, it is Jun that tanks it up, which means that he's pretty much guaranteed to lose his life in this exchange, but they deny the wave from the AD carry, and they also guarantee that kill. Meanwhile, on the re-engage, they're just waiting for cooldowns. At this point, they're just chipping away at the tower. It's Noah that takes the aggro just because he knows it's easier for him to get out of range, and they get themselves another kill. Very well played from Fnatic. They start the game off with a 700 gold lead.
Really nice flash from Razork as well to dodge away from DOS's knock-up on the initial engage. Flash in, make sure you hit that Vault Breaker. Don't give Exakick the chance to react. The cancel ability is called Wash Brush, by the way. It washes off the paint, so it's 11 abilities if you want to be really pedantic, and I often do. Disaster, Serenity, and Torment are the different artistic styles he goes for. I feel like if we were more sophisticated, Vedi, we would apply an artist to each one. So Serenity would be like Van Gogh. Torment would be... I mean, Torment actually fits more with Van Gogh, but we're going to see another fight down towards the bottom lane as Isma goes in. Jun trying to tank this up, gets hit with the Blade Caller. Humanoid on his way as well. Good shuffle back as Razork's now in the midst of the fray. The Grash and more will get 2. SK very low, walking away wounded. Humanoid looking for a little bit more damage. Last Embrace going to hit on Exakick. He does have the flash. Will he get out in time? He escapes for now. Isma has flash, has jump, uses the flash early to escape. The dredge line crossing more, pulling him back, but can Ferromancy crash down for that little bit of extra shielding.
The Severing Bolt almost being enough to actually get the kill onto DOS, but SK, they get away within an inch of their life. Great play from Nisqy. I believe he committed the TP to get there before Humanoid, which means that they have that initial numbers advantage. They find themselves a kill. So the Dragon is started off by SK. You can see that Nisqy TPs towards that bot tower, makes his way up towards the fight, is able to get hit just before Humanoid can. A lot of the initial damage goes down onto Jun, which means that he can't easily re-engage once this ultimate comes through. The ultimate, though, very close to doing an insane amount of damage from Humanoids. Forces SK on the retreat. And while a lot of summoner spells were burnt, Fnatic can't quite trade any kills back. The Scorch doing a lot of work, but not quite enough, and DOS gets away with his life.
SK will take that trade. They were the ones starting up the Dragon. In the end, they burn a couple of summoners as DOS is caught out here by Jun. Good play around the vision, Hex flashing across the wall. It's a luxury the Nautilus can take. The Rakan is not here. Not running that Hex flash himself. Hwei pushing now for Exakick in the bottom lane. Needs to be a little cautious because Jun and Razork are on their way down here, and if he oversteps, it might cause his death, but Jun and Noah just going to catch the wave. Looks like Isma went for a topside clear, now working his way back down towards this Dragon. A lot of focus on the bottom side of the map rather than the grubs. Haven't seen either of the junglers go up towards that top side for now.
I mean, I can't say I'm surprised from SK's perspective. When you have the Xayah Rakan, you really want to try and get them ahead. Punish the fact that Senna isn't at her strongest at this point in the game. Hook will come through from Jun, but he talked about it in that interview. He is naturally an aggressive player. He likes to fight, and he's been finding a lot of great plays. Dragon will be secured by Fnatic. Good secure there by Razork. He makes a beeline towards bot, but respect's being shown from Exakick and DOS. Now the grubs are up. This could be a very easy opportunity for Isma to know that he has that window. Move up, Irrelevant also coming down to assist. One grub has already been secured by Razork. At least I believe so.
Yep, you're right.
And this should be an easy exchange for Isma. Still an opportunity for the 5 grubs on SK side, which will help with their sieging. But alright, so these neutrals have fallen in the early game.
And a gold lead overall for Fnatic, about 1,300 gold ahead. Leads in top, leads in jungle. A sizable lead in form of AD carry as well. 700 gold ahead for the Senna, who's sitting at about 30 stacks right now for all of you stack enthusiasts. There's the Molten Fisher for the Hwei player. Nisqy looking for Humanoid. No flash on the Hwei, but manages to fight another day. Just walks away from the fight.
And we are approaching that 10-minute mark, which means the TPs do become unlocked. I'm having a look at Irrelevant, and I'm seeing if there could be an opportunity for him to get involved on the map. When we think of top laners that like to do stuff in the early game, we often think of players like Adam, but I think that there are always some opportunities, especially if you're looking for a potential bot lane dive around the next dragon spawn. There could be windows for you to try and look for some plays. Irrelevant right now, though, being forced underneath this tower, not going to be the easiest of opportunities. Jun looking for a
have to, doesn't early. Last Embrace coming out as well. Uses the ult very late, but he's still rooted up. Trying to trade back in. You can see Noah and Jun respecting the fact they didn't have vision in the tri-bush, so Isma and DOS could have been waiting in the wings. They'll back away and clear out this vision, but they get the ult out of Exakick. No objective for the next 3 minutes, so if Exa plays safely enough, he should just be able to wait for his ultimate in the heal to come back up.
Yeah, Isma's spending a lot of time hovering around the bot river. You'll notice that Razork has a small experience advantage, also starting to build an even larger gold lead. He's making his way towards bot. They are looking for a play here.
You have cease and desist, right? And you know there's no ultimate for Exakick. Can't bring that Featherstorm down. Hwei vision cleared as well by Jun. Gives Razork that path in.
It looks like that they're stacking this wave, threatening a dive. TP is going to be available for Humanoid as well. Razork naturally going to be spotted.
Nisqy has no TP. Spiraling Despair. Dodge away by Nisqy. Dodges
well
forward
played.
from the searing block, yeah.
He expected that. He's a Hwei player himself. He knew what was coming. You have to be mindful of the fact that the lower HP, the more damage that Severing Bolt can do. So Nisqy able to get away with his life there.
Also using the dash away at the end of Spiraling Despair means that the mounting slow is a little bit easier to dodge out of at the end.
Sure.
So nicely done, as you say, by Nisqy.
Now, will they make the dive happen? Isma is obviously here to cover. Humanoid gonna base, has the TP available.
They're going to look for it. Death charge onto Exakick. Last Embrace out. Razork diving forward. The Dawning Shadow as well as they just lock up Exa and they take him out of the fight. Isma trying to do everything he can here, but Humanoid tanks the tower perfectly. Jun takes the kill. Razork manages to survive. 100 HP, more than enough for the Fnatic dive.
I mean, another excellent dive onto the bot lane. You talked about how we've been seeing so much action down here. But this is just a great awareness of the fact that Humanoid had his TP up. The second it came off cooldown, they made the bot lane play happen. And even though he didn't have his ultimate, it didn't matter. Jun beautifully tanks the tower long enough for the rest of the team to find the successful dive. They leveraged their numbers advantage, and I thought that the second they saw Isma, they would be dissuaded from the dive, but they have the full wave available. Jun starts off the play with his ultimate. They know that Exakick doesn't have his ultimate available. The flash Q from Razork, the ultimate follow-up from Noah to provide that shield as well, and Jun casually tanks 3 tower shots. Humanoid the next to tank it, and Razork just barely getting away with his life, but ultimately all calculated from the side of Fnatic.
Really well executed by them as well, because Isma was waiting to try to react to it, but didn't have the opportunity to turn the fight. DOS, I don't think was level 6 there either. He's still got the quickness up, so DOS now at level 6 would have been a lot more powerful for SK. About a minute in the past, a minute in yesteryear, as Vedius would say. Dragon up in 40 seconds. The Void Grub's up in 20, about half of that. Still a strong lead here for Fnatic in the bottom lane. Noah stacking up, must be at about 40 now. Have a look at those center stacks as soon as we get the opportunity. Right. 43.
43. Yeah.
It did come up on the screen.
I was checking.
I didn't just pick a random number. You know?
I thought you were like, yeah, based on the calculations,
I did my
position
maths,
of the sun.
It was at 27, 8 minutes, 5 minutes extra. You know, there's an extra 16 stacks. And
also, he's playing AD, not support.
Yeah, so. And if we square the hypotenuse of the isosceles triangle, we can work out that.
Yeah. Often get the answer in 5 to 7 business days.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now the dragon spawning. Fnatic have priority over it.
All out, coming out from Irrelevant.
Looking for a play.
Oscar pops the World Ender. Should just be able to walk away from this one. Does still have the flash. Puts the Infernal Chains back. Pulled back with the Intofos. But it's not going to be enough from Irrelevant. More about forcing Oscar out of the fight. Isma is on his way. Oscar still has TP flash. But he stays around to try and catch the wave, and now with Isma coming in, the Dawning Shadow, well, it will dawn on his death day. Irrelevant takes the kill.
They have brought Exakick up so that he can get some plates in exchange for the pressure that Fnatic is putting in bot lane. Bit of a misstep there from Oscarinin. He realized that he was on the weak side. Irrelevant did a good job of forcing that fight to set up for the potential dive. Even if he did try to retreat, I think it would have been difficult given that Isma and Exakick are already on their way up there. Anyway, regardless, they will lose their top laner, but in exchange, Fnatic get themselves their second dragon of the game and the bot tower. So they are in full control of this early game.
And importantly, the Rift Herald spawned before those extra 2 grubs were picked up by SK. So the grubs died, means that SK only get 3. They won't get the help of the mites, which can be relatively impactful. Small chip damage, always powerful when you have the ability to siege on these towers. Rift Herald, though, will be picked up by SK. So net gain for Fnatic across the course of the play, but SK getting everything that they can manage on the other side of the map.
They should be able to use this Herald to pressure into mid lane, though. When you're playing against control mages, those mid towers are the most difficult to secure. They have so much wave clear in the early game that it becomes very difficult to chip them down. Xayah, relatively short range compared to other AD carries, which can make it a little harder for her to actually siege against these towers. Contrast that to Senna, whose range only progressively gets stronger. It means that her sieging potential is actually very lethal. But this Herald should be utilized to unlock that mid tower and give SK a little bit more control over the map. And access into the river as well.
It also opens up those flank positions you talked about in draft. DOS being able to step forward past where that tower used to stand.
Speaking of,
means you get extra vision control. Oscarinin coming across. We'll see that that ward was just placed. Still clears it out and steps forward. Okay, Oscar, you should have known that that ward just went down. A little bit greedy to step forward towards the Tribush. SK were lying in wait, but Oscar, a bit of a mental misplay there from him.
Fnatic primarily have their members on the top side of the map, so they are looking to try and cross-map. Nisqy has been kept bot. I like this TP coming out from SK. It means that very minimal damage will be done to their structures. They mitigate the strong side pressure that Fnatic was putting down. A response TP, though, coming out from Humanoid to be able to catch this wave and defend the tower of their own. So SK, they're only going to take the benefit of a single kill. Still something that you'll be happy to have. Largely setting up for a potential play in mid. They know that the TP was invested bot. They have Isma hovering around mid lane. And I imagine that this Herald will be used to try and unlock this tower in the near future.
Nisqy did pick up the Herald as well, so he has to be around when they want to use it, obviously, because he has to place it.
Point.
We'll see if they decide to do it in probably the next 2 minutes, as that's when the Ocean Drake comes up. Fnatic would be on sole point if they manage to secure that next dragon.
That could very well be what they're waiting for, right?
Yeah.
You use that to guarantee you priority in the mid, and even if you don't have access to the river, the threat of the Herald then gives you the ability to both siege that tier 1 and potentially threaten that tier 2 as well. So,
you know something I haven't seen Herald being used for enough, and I don't actually think it's a good play, but I once killed someone by running through them with Herald, and if you hit people with Herald, it stuns them for a second and knocks them up.
Sure.
So I'm just saying, Yasuo plus Herald comps is something we're not seeing enough of, where you just run the Herald through the entire enemy team, get the knockups, and then you just ult off it, you know?
You're ahead of our time. You're the Genja of 2024.
That's a reference not many people are going to get.
There's going to be a bunch of people like, what? Just goes to show my age.
People that love stacks do like the Jenga. As Isma locked up here with the depth charge, Spiraling Despair coming in as well, but he gets the shield. Jun has to flash away. Razork dashes onto DOS. And in the end, as much ado about nothing as Isma is able to escape, but the Dawning Shadow flashed away. Dragon up in a minute. Isma would no longer have that summoner spell as Nisqy's locked up the charm on Razork. He tanks a couple of tower shots, but the heal will be enough to keep him alive. Oscar gets one though as Exakick flashes forward. Noah trying to dash away. Humanoid has a flash of his own. DOS dashes away from the Q3. It's a 2-for-1 exchange in favor of SK in the end.
Relevant making his presence known. I like what Razork did, punishing the slight overstep from Nisqy. He doesn't even get a chance to flash. Razork catching him with just the edge of the flash Q combo to then chain CC him into the ultimate to then find that execution. But the response from Relevant and Exakick was swift because Fnatic was forced to retreat. Now Oscar could be overstepping here.
There's the TP. Isma jumps across the wall, misses the knock-up. Oscar with the World Ender might actually escape from this. Nisqy's going to slide forward. He still has the Emperor's Divide. And I spoke a little bit too hastily saying Oscar had a chance to get away from this, because unless he plays this perfectly, there is just no escape. SK get their 7th. The Dragon up in 18 seconds time, though. I think SK have just given up the ghost on that one by investing so much into making sure that Oscar died.
I mean, Herald's going to be used top.
Nisqy has no TP.
Yeah, he doesn't. I mean, Fnatic have clear control around the Dragon for now. DOS going to be zoned away from putting that vision in as well. He is able to get a reset off, and you can already see him making a beeline back out onto the map. Question is, will he get hit in time? Because remember that SK do have the numbers advantage right now. Oscar will have his TP available, but he's up in 8 seconds. Isma feels confident enough to walk into the river. There is no mid wave to fight over. Fnatic's positioning has now become very awkward as Noah's staying around the mid lane. Humanoid making his way up through bot, and it's SK that have found avenue onto the Dragon.
Oscar TP's to the mid lane tower. SK on the Drake, as you say. Oscar, no world ender on him. Razork, no cease and desist. Noah, no ultimate either. That Dragon already down to 4,500. Isma doesn't have the Magnet Storm, and there's no Emperor's Divide or Quickness, so SK are running short on utility themselves. Oscar steps in, the Dragon secured. There's the knock-up onto Oscar as well. He does still have the flash. Depth charge lands onto the back line. There's the Spy running to spare as well. Irrelevant can try to get away from this. Lands the 3-man knock-up. There's the all-out on Razork as well. But the cease and desist comes back off cooldown. Feather Storm out by Exakick. He falls low, but he doesn't quite die as Oscarinin tries to take him. The Searing Bolt going wide as Exakick sidesteps it. And in the end, it's another 2 kills and a Drake over to SK.
SK are navigating these fights very well. Great patient play from them. Ooh, Exakick ends up losing his life. He had no more tools left in the kit to escape from that one. Noah trades back a kill, but the soul point is denied from Fnatic, and SK are rapidly closing that gold gap. Top tower did end up going down. We didn't talk about that. Remember that Nisqy did drop the Herald top.
And it still charges even if you aren't riding on it. Doesn't need a saddle to charge
so the
forward.
hook goes wide initially from Jun. Remember the ultimate is used relatively early here as well. Exakick and Nisqy aren't forced to invest that much, and then it's just a great play from Irrelevant, forcing Fnatic to split apart. The main engage being used haphazardly as Exakick then responds with the ultimate of his own. The damage from Humanoid isn't quite enough to find that kill at the end. And Irrelevant secures a second, and Oscarinin tries to support his jungler. Unfortunately for Exakick, he does get spotted out here, gets sniped, ends up being a 2-for-1 overall, but SK is still very happy with that trade. Coach claps of approval, but suspense in his eyes.
I just know whoever's running the coach cams today is like, hey, keep on Swiffer all the time, all the time. We've got to make sure we can watch him every moment. Oscar did burn his flash in that last play, trying to get across the Dragon wall. Isma now here. Irrelevant trading in well, 4-0-2 on the Cassante.
I was just about to say, I feel like we're going to start to feel the consequences of this early game top lane difference. Initially, you'd think that it hasn't been that impactful over the overall game, where Fnatic investing so heavily into the bot side of the map, finding a lot of successful dives. Irrelevant finding the dive, ultimately forcing that solo kill, then Oscarinin getting caught out again. Meanwhile, Irrelevant's been involved in 6 of the team's 9 kills. Now, SK taking a page out of G2's book, and they're going to start off this Baron.
Spotted out with a fast alteration though, and they will back away from it. So you can see what they're thinking. You can see Fnatic realizing, hey, you know, we played G2 last week. They do like to do this sort of thing. And they spotted out.
But it's also just one of the things pros will do is you kind of count how many people are on the map, right?
Yeah.
So it gives you information on where you can and cannot go, and so
it's too complicated for me.
As you are,
Six people on the map usually.
I mean, it's better. Most people don't look at the map, Medic.
Jun flashes away. Isma looking for the stun here as well. Magnet Storm lands onto 2. Dawning Shadow across as well. Feather Storm by Exakick, and he's a little bit split from this fight. Isma lands another stun. Irrelevant trying to get into the back line, but he's ceased and desisted by Razork, who does have to flash the wall. In the end, it's a Magnet Storm of quickness and a Feather Storm used by SK. In response, a flash away by Jun and one by Razork.
I will say, though, that Razork saw the threat in that fight, and it was Irrelevant. The moment that he joined, he said, nope, not going to let you get involved, throws the ult, and then flashes out instantly. The goal there was not to turn and fight onto Irrelevant, it was to buy time for his team to escape, recognizing they're at a numbers disadvantage. And during the draft, I gave the advantage to Fnatic in terms of the team fight. I felt like that their front to back was easier to play, but we're seeing in these like more skirmishes that we're seeing, and the involvement of Irrelevant specifically in these fights is going very favorably for SK.
You even see Noah itemizing towards it. He went for the Lord Dominic's Regard's second item on the Senna just to try and get through that front line. Baron was started up again by SK, and every time Fnatic go and check it. Noah also apparently a Kansas City Chiefs fan, since he's got those Swifties as his boots of choice for this game.
Only some people are going to get that joke too.
Most of my jokes only a couple of people get, and I'm one of them. It's like me and those 3 other friends in the bar just like laughing
Well,
along.
you imagine a lot of people would recognize that joke though. You'd think that it would be fairly...
I mean, we're in Europe, man.
True.
The only football I care about is Premier League
The one where they
and the
actually use their
Bundesliga.
feet?
Yeah. I mean, they punt in American football.
Okay.
The only football I care about is where Harry Kane still isn't going to get a trophy this year. That's a joke you're definitely not going to get.
No, I get it.
3 German football fans in the audience are giggling along to that one. And the reason we have a moment to joke around.
Dragon in 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's exactly the reason.
Teams resetting out on the map. Fnatic want to clear out the top side. This gives an opportunity for SK to move into the bot side. Look at Irrelevant pushing in the bot lane once again. I like the lane assignments here because SK even have that top wave slowly pushing in their favor. The pressure is fully on to Fnatic right now. Oscarinin 2 full levels behind.
Another stun onto Jun. TP behind by Irrelevant. Jun so low, tries to dredge line forward but can't find anyone. Spiraling Despair on Isma. Well, Spiraling Despair for Fnatic as they consistently lose their first carry. DOS looking for the engage here, flashes forward, lands the double knockup, and in goes Nisqy. Sweeps them back, pops the stopwatch. Irrelevant now tanking the tower. The Dawning Shadow will be enough to help take out Nisqy, and Noah starts to open up the big guns. Exakick flashes forward though with the Blade Caller. The Feather storms as the feathers fly, and Noah falls. Razork and Oscarinin trying to do everything they can to turn this fight around, and they'll do exactly that. Oscarinin with the World Ender trying to get onto Isma, but can't get close enough. Good knockback by Irrelevant. Dash forward by Razork, dash away from the Cassante.
It ends up being a 3-for-3 overall. SK, they take one step too far. They get in range of the tower, and this crazy combo comes out from Fnatic, giving them enough damage to actually swing the fight into an even state. And they're even going to get the Dragon off the back of it. SK so close to really blowing the game open there. But unfortunately, a small misstep result in Fnatic bouncing back. So it starts off with Jun losing his life, getting eviscerated, and DOS finding a great engage onto the backline. This 2-person ultimate with Nisqy finding 3. A great combo to take out Humanoid. And it's at this point, Irrelevant tanking the tower, but look at that ultimate coming out from Noah, providing the shield and the damage coming out from Oscarinin. I like the flash here from Exakick. He's forced to use the ultimate out, seeing that both the Vi and the Aatrox are vying for his life. But the root connects from Noah just before he loses his life, allowing Fnatic to trade a 3-for-3. Irrelevant doing a lot of work on what he can in that fight, but you can see how close it is getting. The engage possibilities are very close here from SK. The mobility is something that I didn't initially appreciate. DOS found that great engage. The ways in which Nisqy can really disrupt the fight as well. I feel like their composition is just great at causing chaos in the fight, and then that really allows Exakick to get in there and do the damage that he needs to do.
Fnatic are continuing to scale up though. 3 items on Noah. We'll have a look at his stacks in a moment. I'm going to guess 78?
86.
86, I was close again. But alongside that, Oscarinin's got 2.5 items. He's got his Profane Hydra and then his Profane accessories alongside it. So, well, SK now trying to push through mid. They do still have that Baron as an option. Oscarinin, with that Edge of Night, can face check a little bit more easily than he could in the past. No vision at the moment. DOS has the flank. What have we got flash-wise? Razork, Oscarinin, and Jun have theirs. Only Isma on the side of SK has a flash. I haven't seen Irrelevant use his flash all game.
Here comes DOS.
Might be because he's got Ghost, as Isma can go forward. The dash in by Razork, dash away by Isma. Pathmaker, Oscarinin locked in the pit, charmed up. There's the Baron secured by SK. Isma gets it. Oscarinin now in the middle of the pit as Isma flashes away. Irrelevant takes down one. Exakick though so low in the back. DOS trying to do everything he can here. Nisqy pops the stopwatch for a second, but Humanoid's still alive and he has damn loads of damage to try and dish out. The fear back on Irrelevant. Razork will be locked up with the Pathmaker, and that is a very dead buy. He can try to dash the wall, but Irrelevant gets in his way. In the end, an incredible exchange for SK.
Irrelevant is godlike. SK will lose too, but they get the Baron. An incredibly close affair. Razork makes his way into the pit, and SK, they have to regroup. They're doing their best. Look at this play from Irrelevant here, keeping Razork out of the pit, doing what he can. Oscarinin gets forced very low though. Exakick forced to use the ultimate, but he isn't quite touched. He's still able to do a lot of damage. Nisqy with a great ultimate as well. So many small things. I would need to go back and watch it again to really highlight all the individual plays. Ultimately, though, Irrelevant is the problem. This man just does too much damage, and Fnatic don't have enough to take him out. 3 members still with the Baron buff. SK with another 1 team fight. And the pressure continues to mount for Fnatic.
Jack show now complete on that Cassante as well. Fnatic feeling the consequences?
Consequences.
I like that. Yeah, you like that? Consequences? Took me a while to get there, but
3 fully completed items. Has the Warden's Mail as well. He is one chonky top laner.
He really is. It's going to be very hard to get through him. Obviously, Noah can do it if given enough time, and Humanoid will struggle to, as Humanoid lands a great grasping more from across the side. Depth charge down as well, but Doss going to get the knock-up, and Irrelevant is the first top laner to join the fray. Oscarinin coming in from the side, Irrelevant still incredibly tanky.
Is he taking damage?
It's hard to tell sometimes with a Kanik Rukan. Kind of hides the fact that you are taking a bit of damage underneath that magic damage shield. In the end, though, Exakick was forced away, did have to burn the Feather Storm. Now can heal up a little bit off these minions in the bot lane. Still going to be a 1-4 split. Nisqy kind of hovering between the two lanes. Irrelevant's now adopted the mid lane position, whereas SK investing 4 players down towards this bottom side. Isma locked up though underneath the tower as he tanks it. The charm onto Jun, not going to be enough for now as he manages to escape. Irrelevant TP's in, and immediately Fnatic are like, nope, don't want any more of that action. Irrelevant, the raid boss, will just force Fnatic to back away.
They still got them in tier 2. Irrelevant did his job, and he did TP into the bot lane to support his team as Humanoid went back to base. Now the Dragon in 28 seconds. This could be Soul for Fnatic and the turnaround play that they need to get a foothold back in this game as it very quickly swings in the favor of SK. Death Cap not quite completed for Nisqy. He would have loved that item ahead of this fight. Let's have a look as Fnatic trying to gain control over the mid wave. Nisqy there to push back, Isma there to support. Oscarinin pushed out the bot wave, now making his way back towards the team to offer assistance. SK, who have entrance to the Dragon.
The risk for SK is they don't have the quickness, they don't have the Magnet Storm, and they don't really have follow-up engage on Isma diving in. Isma falls low, Nisqy trying to get onto Jun as well, as he will be able to take out the Nautilus with a couple more auto attacks, but he hasn't got them down yet. He shuffles Jun away, and Oscarinin's doing everything he can to help out his support. In the end, a 1-for-1 so far. Irrelevant trying to join the fray from the bottom side. The bot breaker charged up by Razork, but Irrelevant with his dancing shoes dodges to the side. Humanoid severing bolt once again. The chase continues as Oscarinin's knocked back. Doss goes back in. Razork coming in from the side as the grasping more, unable to find something in its teethy clutches. The Dragon started though, and SK won't be able to get into the pit. Fnatic get the soul.
Ends up being a 1-for-1. I think Nisqy really misplayed that fight.
Yeah.
He tried to go for a play onto the back line. I'm going to have to watch it back and see whether his goal was to get Jun or if he was trying to make a big super play with his ultimate, but he oversteps and he ends up trading his life for the support. The engage comes through from Jun. A lot of damage thrown down by Humanoid from the back line, and they have this front line. Humanoid and Noah are safe on the back. You see Nisqy going towards Jun, flashes in, and now he's in range of Oscarinin and Humanoid as well. While he does get that kill, he ends up trading his life for Nisqy. And at this point, just look at the health difference. Fnatic have a huge advantage. Noah also has heals. And it means that SK's just forced to disengage.
It's just an ultimate difference as well. They step too far forward, they get caught in the dredge line. They don't have Magnet Storm, they don't have quickness. Noah's able to flash away from Irrelevant, so he's able to rejoin the fray. And it just felt like SK tried a little bit too hard to force Fnatic out of the river, whereas they could have slow played it and waited until those cooldowns were back up. Isma now needs to jump across this wall. The Ocean Soul will help Fnatic a lot in what have been very extended fights. Obviously, the longer the fight goes on, the more that Ocean Soul can help you, assuming you are putting damage down. Nisqy goes back. Still doesn't have the Rabadons. Still only sitting on the double needed to see last rod. There it is, completed. Just took a second for our Overlay 2 update. A 2,000 gold lead for SK doesn't matter too much right now as the cease and desist lands onto Doss. Flash forward by Jun, lands the hook as well. The quickness invested by Doss. There's the depth charge. So what did we get out? A cease and desist and a dredge line with a hook from Jun. As you say, here he comes, but there he goes, Vedi. For once living up to his name in the sequence of those events.
5v5 though, the dance over this mid-wave control. The Baron is spawning in about 20 seconds and it's SK who have priority over it. They've done a good job of getting first into the river, but Fnatic keep finding their ways in. The side waves have largely been abandoned for now. The chip damage continues to come out from Humanoid. There is the Baron making its way towards the pit. Fnatic have their eyes set on the mid-tier 1, I imagine. SK are going to force this.
They're going to do it so quickly as well. Like you have Exo and Nisqy who will just shred through this. It's already down to 13,000. Now down to 8. Fnatic trying to step forward. Doss still no quickness. 5,000 on the Baron. Isma sticking on it for now. Razork charging up the Vault Breaker, looking to get across the wall. Now they'll re-engage on it. Razork does have the flash. He has the blast go. Razork steals it. Doss forward slow down towards the bottom side of the fight as Irrelevant tries to keep 4 members of Fnatic away. Maybe SK will want to take a bit more of the battle as the all-out comes out. Exakick flashes forward. SK know they need to find something now as they go in. The root caller coming out as Jun falls low, as does Razork. 2 so far. Irrelevant still healthy enough to rejoin if he can. Exakick forced down towards the bottom side. No flash, no feather storm, no hope of him getting away, but a good slide back from Nisqy into the stopwatch, into the quickness, into the charm, into Oscar falling. Nisqy goes down as well. In the end, Fnatic walk away with only one Baron buff.
It's still a great team fight for SK. They played it incredibly well. Yes, they did gamble the Baron, and that allowed Razork to get a steal. But this Irrelevant front line is difficult to get out of the way. Let's look back at the steal. Razork buys his time. There is no one interrupting in this time. Irrelevant looking for him. Can't quite get an angle to take him out of the pit. The feathers, the smite comes out just ahead of Isma's. And then look at Irrelevant on the front line. Buys so much time here. Decides to commit the ultimate. And then Exakick flashes in, a nice knockup from DOS to allow him to get so much damage down. Nisqy on the backline is very safe as well. They trade 1 for 2 initially, but then Exakick separates himself from the rest of the team. This then gives Humanoid a window to go for a fight, but Nisqy sees a play of his own. Catches Noah off guard. AD carry traded for AD carry. Oscarinin then loses his life, and Humanoid is forced to retreat. 3 for 4, only a single member with the Baron. Elder in a minute's time.
1 minute to catch your breath for both Fnatic and SK. A spot in the winter playoffs still on the line. Loser of this is out for about 4 weeks. The winner will face up against Mad Lions Koi on Friday next week. Humanoid has gone from absolute cinema to absolute artistry, 2-1-8. Leandri's Crypt Bloom and the Luden's Companion complete. Also has 10 stacks on his Dark Seal. A tortured artist, you might say then. Because it's a Dark Seal.
Oh,
if it was a Light Seal, he'd be a very happy artist.
Once again, we find ourselves in the mid lane, fighting over the wave. Isma tries to land the stun. Exakick takes a chip of damage. Here we go.
Jun so low already. Jun almost down as Irrelevant now dashes forward, and Fnatic are on the back foot. 4v5, they have to try and find a way to get out of this alive, but Oscarinin has failed in that objective. SK, everyone walks away. The Severing Bolt not going to do enough, especially to Irrelevant, as SK will turn their eyes towards the Elder. Humanoid TPing to the top lane to try and find something out of this Baron buff.
Yeah, he's trying to get something back. The Baron will wear off with the Elder Dragon firmly in the hands of SK. And they just consistently shut down this engage from Fnatic. It's always Jun on the front line, and he just gets melted through in an instant. Irrelevant is acting as such an effective wall for SK to play around. And it's becoming harder and harder to threaten Nisqy, who's only getting stronger. SK with the Elder Dragon. Now they want to force a fight. They know that they are so much stronger with this buff behind them. It's Fnatic who's forced to play defense. SK going toe-to-toe with Fnatic. We had some crazy games from them on Saturday. Very back and forth, very messy.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people coming into this series would have put Fnatic as firm favorites.
Oh, for sure.
Especially having watched how Fnatic played last week against MDK and against G2.
We're getting to see some of the good team fighting, but a lot of credit I really feel needs to go to Irrelevant. Look, they just walked their way in. Exactly what you need to do.
Just tanks for an absolute year. The Elder here as Humanoid's pulled back and exploded by SK. They're not going to be able to win the game off this minion wave, are they? I mean, the cannon's going to die, and then I feel like Fnatic should be able to clear the
cares about those towers?
The backdoor bonus might be enough, as Irrelevant is still tanking the towers. Jun's going to dredge line away. Nisqy dives forward, but no one's able to escape. Doesn't even have to burn the flash, and now they're underneath the Nexus towers. And although Irrelevant might not care, Nisqy definitely does. Noah's now going to open up on Irrelevant. He's locked up in the last embrace, and Irrelevant for the first time in 37 minutes falls to the SK's hubris in diving their Nexus towers.
They saw those towers and did not see them as an obstacle. Nisqy blunders his ulti, and it allows Noah to get 2 kills in exchange. Full build now for the Senna, and Fnatic have been given another opportunity at life in this game. Are we getting a coach cam? I feel we're going to get a coach cam. So this initial play was great. They know that Fnatic can't fight them with the Elder Dragon. But look at the rest of the minimap. There are no extra ways for them to play off of. So SK, they get a little desperate here. They try to force the end, and they think if we can just get another fight, this should be doable. Irrelevant tanks up the initial tower. Good hook coming out from Jun. This play from Nisqy, though, was too overzealous. He finds himself underneath the tower. Isma and Irrelevant are now separated. SK become 2 They lose their focus on who they want to try and shut down in this fight. I think we could all understand what you were saying
After
there.
that, he smiles and says, what a great way to continue this game. I'm so happy.
Frustration on the face of Swiffer. But the Fnatic fans, they're loving it. Yeah. They know that they still get another chance. Baron, 18 seconds.
Loving the fact that Marek Brazda is at the top of the damage charts as well. Now, Isma has Flash, has the Magnus Storm, and has a window to go in, but Jun, with a perfect dredge line, stops him in his tracks. The cease and desist out by Razork. Isma now on the front line, the Dawning Shadow being used as well. The Redemption will heal SK back up. Spiraling Despair on Irrelevant, and perhaps a bit of desperation for SK.
In these extended fights, though, is where you're going to see the value of the Ocean Soul.
Exakick, no Feather Storm for him, no quickness for DOS, no ultimates apart from Nisqy.
Exakick. Oh, he takes a step towards the enemy due to the bolt from Humanoid, and those auto attacks from Noah are lethal. Level 17 on the Senna, 142 stacks.
We only have 2 ultimates available for this next fight as Irrelevant steps forward. His is one of them, the all-out, still a possibility. The Emperor's Divide as well. Isma needs to jump away from that, but he doesn't have the time to escape. The Infernal Chain's just short. TP from Nisqy! TP from Nisqy! That TP sucked!
What was he doing?
Oh, he's teleporting back.
I mean, thank you. Now I understand. I'm still struggling to comprehend what the plan was.
In the end, it doesn't matter too much because he's still able to join up with his team before the Baron begins, but I think perhaps a flank position was what he was aiming for. Noah stepping forward, Dosh dashing away, the TP.
Wait, they can just kill the TP.
They can look for Irrelevant. It's pretty hard to kill him. I'm going to say he's only died once so far. This game pulled back from the Path Maker. The Baron will fall, though, as SK secure it. The Blast Cone away by Irrelevant. Okay. Getting the TP a little bit more tricky than perhaps was first ideated by Fnatic.
Thumbs up from Nisqy. All part of the plan. You can see the smile on his face.
All according to Kotaku.
He's going to push his glasses up after that one. I mean,
he needs to.
Yeah. But SK, they get themselves the Baron. A moment of reprieve as they will begin their siege. They have a wave in bot. They need to go and push that top wave out, but they have no teleports available. I was skeptical about that TP. they have no TP on Irrelevant, which he used in that fight. I think Fnatic had a similar idea to me, where you just kind of collapse on the TP, but then they quickly realized, oh right, that's Irrelevant, we can't kill him. And then he just acted as a wall to deny access into the Baron pit, and no steal was allowed. Our third Baron of the game. We're approaching the 42-minute mark. The scaling on Fnatic's side should be giving them so many advantages, but Irrelevant is just scaling harder. This front line of K'Sante is so difficult to deal with. Now SK pushing in bot. They've sent Nisqy there. He's got to be careful, though. Fnatic are looking for a numbers advantage fight. They have 5 members, but SK have avenue into the base.
SK have the
who is shepherding who here?
I mean, Fnatic are trying to shepherd SK, but they're not very good sheep. I'm going to be honest. They can't just run wherever they damn well please, as the inhibitor tower and the inhibitor will fall. Fnatic now make their way back into the base, but the Baroned up minions will cause a little bit of consternation, a little bit of concern for them, as Razork now steps in. Elder in 2 seconds' time. Exakick still not full build yet, by the way, sitting on a Zeal. He's waiting to complete that into his 5th and final item, 6th if you include the boots, as the Elder is already down to 10,000. Can Razork pull a rabbit out of the proverbial hat? Can he find a steal, or will Irrelevant go for the engage first? Oscarinin looking to the flank. Exakick puts the feathers down. The Dawning Shadow will land on a lot as Oscar gets charmed up immediately. The cease and desist on the backline, but Razork just can't put the damage down, and Irrelevant can. He dives into Fnatic's backline as Nisqy dives forward to help him. It's 4 for 1 so far. The Elder on the menu for SK if they want it, but I think they want a much juicier prize.
That fight was cut and dry, and they're going to add insult to injury and send Noah back to the fountain. 5 members alive. SK will secure the victory here in Game 1.
A very back and forth affair between them. Irrelevant, definitely the MVP for SK, carrying them through the game and taking them to 1-0 in the series.
Whew. What a crazy Game 1 between SK and Fnatic. These team fights were crazy, but I do think it boiled down to that top diff at the end of the day. Irrelevant was just immovable in so many of these fights, and we saw it in that final one. The front line was just not able to compete.
It was just way too strong for SK. Has been so many times this split. We'll see if it continues in game 2 after this.
Freely using Katarina's cook.
Kindred cautiously cooked Kit Kat cupcake. Kindred cautiously cooked Kit Kat cupcake.
Even the biggest champ needs a break.
Kindred cautiously
Cook Kit Kat cupcakes.
carefreely using Katarina's cute cookie cutters.
Ooh, I'm on it. I'm ready. Let's go.
Red Bull gives you wings.